And on this episode of Just Take the Money and Run, we have this from Comic Basics. Sydney Sweeney on Madam Web bombing. I was just hired as an actress in it. It's fair to say that I would never hire Sydney Sweeney or Dakota Johnson to be in anything. It's been exactly a month since Madam Web released, and what was supposed to be the next installment in the Sony Spider-Man universe quickly turned into a massive loss for the studio and meme factory. I don't think they had a plan for this movie. And I've said this before on other videos, I don't think that Sony fully believed that Madam Web was going to connect with anything in the Tom Holland, or the Tobey Maguire, or the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universes. It alluded to nothing. There was no after-credit scene either, so wouldn't you have that naturally? Because everything now is after-credit scenes, which show us, okay, here's what's going to happen in the next one. They didn't have any of that. This was just a standalone movie that really made no sense in any of the Spider-Man universes. So I'm just saying, if this was a massive success, I also say this with the shows Echo and Agatha, it wasn't leading to anything. It was a standalone TV show. So I always said, if this was the biggest success on Disney Plus, this was the most watched show they've ever done with hundreds of millions of new subscribers coming to Disney Plus, desperate to watch this show, was Echo going to be in the Avengers? Were they going to make her potentially lead the Avengers if this was a massive success of a show? I don't think so. I think they just simply made the show for diversity and inclusion's sake, and that was it. Same thing with Madam Web. They said, okay, we need an all-female movie. It's not going to lead to anything. It's not going to be good. We're going to hire the most boring and bland actresses we could possibly find, and we're going to go out there and make one of the worst movies we've ever made, and we're making it solely for girl power, and that's it. Because again, it doesn't lead to anything. Nothing in this movie had any breadcrumbs leading to anything else, though. So, I don't think they had a plan for this. I don't think they really had a plan for Morbius either, because with the after-credit scene of him with the Vulture at the end, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't think the Vulture was going to be a villain going forward, and Morbius wasn't a villain at the end of that movie. So why would these two non-villains team up to do something that involves Spider-Man? Sony has absolutely no idea what they're doing at this time. Venom 3 is going to be dead in the water because, again, with Venom 2 after-credit scenes, you brought him into the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe, just to leave the piece of him when he went back at the end of the movie, which I think, of course, they're going to go with Black Suit Spider-Man, but Venom as a whole, Venom's going to do nothing. It's not going to lead to anything. So hopefully Venom 3 is going to be the final movie of that series, but back to Madam Web, there was not going to be a series. There's nothing that came about it that made me go, yes, we are going to get more of these characters and more of these movies going forward. The cast members are coping in their own ways. Sweeney, who played Julia Carpenter, one of the Spider-Women, already joked about the movie in a lighthearted way. I don't understand why she would do that on Saturday Night Live. Can you imagine for a second you hired this woman, paid her money, and she was absolutely garbage in this performance, and then she's going to go on Saturday Night Live in a massive push-up bra and go, oh, well, you guys didn't see my movie or anything like that. Ha ha ha, look at me, I'm so funny. Who the fuck would hire you after that? Can you imagine the unprofessionalism of this woman being paid all this money, given a bullshit performance, and then shitting on the movie, and it hasn't even been out a month yet? So is that Sydney Sweeney's career going forward, though? If she's not in the movie that's good, she's just going to shit on it? And Dakota Johnson, too. In what world does she grow the balls to remotely say, oh, well, this movie had a lot of rewrites. This wasn't the original thing I signed on for. You're Dakota Johnson. You're terrible. In general, Dakota Johnson was terrible in this movie. I don't care if it was one rewrite or 1,000 rewrites. She lost the ability to act at this point. She can't do anything right these days. So you hired, again, two women that are terrible at their job in a terrible movie, and now for some reason they're going to the press talking about like, oh yeah, it wasn't my fault, it was the rewrites, I was just an actress in this movie, I didn't know what was going on. You both were terrible. And I cannot see any studio realistically giving you money or control of a franchise or a movie going forward if this is your reaction to after something flops. When asked about general Madam Web failure, Sweeney shot down the conversation pretty quickly. I was just hired as an actress in it, so I was just along for the ride for whatever was going to happen. It doesn't matter. If you're in Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes, as George Clooney was in really early in his career, or he's in Michael Clayton, you are being paid a lot of money. If you're getting paid more than $0, you should give a shit about this. Because they can get rid of her today, they'll have 150,000 women willing to be in her spot right now. So you were just along for the ride. It looked like you were along for the ride. It looked like you didn't care at all. At no point of watching this movie did I say, wow, she gave a powerhouse performance. What would have happened more importantly? Let's just say this movie was not a failure. Let's say this was the biggest box office success of all human history. It just obliterated every Avatar and Titanic record, and they all got nominated for every single award out there. Would she be out there saying, I was just hired as an actress in it, so I was just along for the ride for whatever was going to happen? No, she would be saying, oh, I tried my hardest in this role, I gave it all, I've earned these awards, and I want to be an inspiration for other people. She inspired nothing in this. After seeing this, I don't really care for her. I really don't care for her in general right now. I find it a little bit kind of gross that her whole thing is, hey, look at me in a bra. That's it. Zero acting ability, zero charisma. She just looks good in a bra, and that's it. In the world of Hollywood, where you're being paid millions and millions of dollars, you can't even pretend to care? That's your whole thing? Hey, look at me with my boobs out. She might make a little bit of money now. Oh, don't get me wrong. She might make some money right now, though. But as soon as she hits that wall, and those guys start drooping, you're not going to see the roles coming in as they used to. You're not going to see the money coming in. You're not going to see the fame coming at you. You're not going to see the red carpets or anything like that, or wearing iconic dresses from other more established actresses in the past. No. As soon as your boobs start to go, you're done. So maybe this is good for her. Make as much money as humanly possible now to do very, very little actual work, and then just go off into the sunset, and that's it. The article goes on to say, meaning that Sweeney refused to take credit for the writing and directing team's failures. Which is completely fair. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. You could still be great in something that's terrible. The movie that comes to mind is the recent Mortal Kombat movie, okay? Wasn't really that great of a movie, but the dude that played Kano was absolutely fantastic in it. He stole the show. He had the best lines. He was the best character in the entire movie. So, a movie could be bad, and you could be great in it. And it could set the tone for, oh, this guy gave it his all. You know what we should do? We should give him more money and more roles in the future. Because he is so good at things. This right here is, okay, you were terrible in a terrible movie. That doesn't equate to anything. Only a tiny minority of people criticized the performances. Yeah, because everything else was so glaringly terrible. The movie itself was a failure, and from start to finish. Everyone across the board was terrible in it. Most people pointed out the plot holes, poor writing, ridiculous dialogue, lack of action, and poor quality of the CGI. I guess. There's also the fact that the movie was marketed pretty heavily as already grown up and superpowered Spider-Women, who in the movie showed up for several seconds in a dream sequence. There's no debate on that at all, though. The marketing team said, hey, we're going to make this movie look like an all-female Spider-Man team-up. And they didn't do that. They made it just, okay, dream sequences, and that's it. That's all we're going to show them from the trailer. Which was a really weird marketing decision, because as soon as the movie comes out, people are going to talk about it. The internet is really fast with this stuff. If it's a garbage movie, people are going to know about it. Because you're going to fool people maybe for the earlier showings, maybe day one. But other than that, you're not going to get any long-term success by lying to your audience with your marketing. In any case, we look forward to more of Sweeney's projects. Madam Web shouldn't and won't impact her career in the least. It kind of should. You can't, again, like I said, you can't be terrible in a terrible movie and try to spin that in a positive direction for you. So what do you guys think about that? You think she's going to have a great career going forward, or is she going to be just typecasted as the woman in the push-up bra and that's it? Let me know what you guys think about that.